Do you think there should be something that changes like how MMR is gotten, or?
Yeah. I think we need some sort of yearly reset where
Ooh.
yeah, and it's like it does a squishing of, you know, like especially the top ones. Like if you're 16K at that point, I don't feel like MMR even matters to you. Like it's just such an useless number when other people are 3K. I'll give you a question, okay?
Ooh.
Let's say someone equally talented as Cap on OD Pixel right now came to the scene. Someone equally talented as them. Do you think that they would be able to actually attend the LANs?
Welcome everybody to the Pudge Wars. This isn't the. I'm supposed to use this. There we go. This is an interview that we're doing together, and you know, for today's guest, we have the only Iraqi caster with a verified Liquipedia page. He's got a land under his belt with Relog. He writes for Strafe Esports, and he's been playing Rocket League for the past 2 weeks without inviting me. Please welcome Otomo DotA to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not playing Rocket League. My son's playing Rocket League. He sits on my lap. He presses the gas. I press the buttons that make him turn around. That's all I'm doing. All right. So I would invite you if I could.
We've been doing that with Liam. He'll sit down here. He'll take the control on me. He likes pressing the gas while I move him around so he can score goals.
They love pressing the boost button as well, don't they? They just want to go as fast as they can the whole time. Cute.
It looks like we actually got this to work. Then I'm gonna choose Greed's favor. I have no idea what the actual one is supposed to be. What the better facet is.
I think when I'm reading it, apparently when you hook, you stand still. So Swift hook, you only stand still for like
I see.
5%. The other one you stand still for much longer, but you get like more benefits and stuff. That's why I opened it for like 2 seconds to see what this was.
All right. Well, we got ourselves a game ahead of us. Then we can start with the questions. First one that I'm gonna try to ask everybody here: should the DPC be rebooted?
Yes. I mean, the DPC was a good idea. It was badly executed, but the DPC, I'd like it if it came back. Oh.
So you worked in IT for the Malaysian Airlines before working in esports. Can you help me out with some Dota issues? My Dota only runs at like 140 FPS when I stream. I feel like that's incorrect.
I don't know why. Okay, that was wrong. They wrote that for I don't know what reason. I didn't work IT. I worked in the like on the ground. Actually on the planes.
I see. You were working like as an engineer?
Yes.
Holy moly.
We call them technicians until you actually get your license. So you become a technician, then you get it. So yeah, I was an engineer. I worked on the planes that went disappearing as well. So
what finally pushed you into Dota after that?
Sorry?
What finally pushed you into Dota after that?
I mean, I love Dota since I was like 13. I was playing it. I just love the game. But if you mean like career-wise?
Well, I mean, yeah, like more like as a career in casting.
Oh, I just got very lucky. I was, there was like a Facebook message. They were looking for casters for this Cyber Cafe tournament, and the money was pretty decent. And I was like, I might as well go. I went, and then a little after that, there was a bigger tournament, a league. And it was like with a studio and everything, and they're like, if you have any experience, come at all. And I was like, experience, you say? Yeah. I just got some. So
there you go.
I was like, all right, let me try it.
So you are the only verified Liquipedia caster from Iraq. Well, have you met anybody else, like from any esport entirely, that has been like an Iraqi caster? Are you actually the only one that you've met so far in esports?
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have met a PUBG player, but not in Dota. No, nothing in Dota. You know, it's just oh, that's me. I thought it was the other guy. I was like, there's so many places I confused who I was. No, I don't think that there's much of an Iraqi esports scene. For various reasons, an American like you might be familiar with.
So you've hosted your own Dota 2 news site with Top Gaming, and you also currently write for Strafe. So first off, who is your favorite North American proofreader?
You, of course, yes, because so he's saying that because sometimes it's an article to him if I think it's good, and he finds out like problems and stuff and tells me how to make them better. So obviously you. Oh, I missed. Yeah.
Oh my god, the trade.
Yeah, it's 100% you.
So do you feel like this elevates your work that you do while you're casting, or is this more just like you're happy like doing this and you want to do it, and it doesn't matter if there's a benefit to your casting? This is just something that you want to do.
No, it benefits because you read about like some stories, like, oh, you find out this person said something like this, and you can reference it during a cast, or oh, this roster is new and you wrote about it when they were coming in, or you checked an interview. Seb said this about this
Yeah.
team, but hey, and look at it, it's true. Or oh, but they're proving him wrong right now, for example. Like small things. I don't really feel like it's not like a big increase, but it's like a small thing that adds up. You're like, yeah, the Chinese Dota, you write about it. Like for example, the players are less, and then you talk about why they're not doing so well in the tournament or something. It's small stuff that adds up. I like doing it. I think it works very well. Like peanut butter and honey on a sandwich.
Do you do that?
Oh, yes.
Is that another Iraqi thing?
No, that is a human thing.
That is a human thing? I don't... When did you start doing that? Why did you start doing that?
My brother did. It tastes good. Look, like I said, one day when I meet you and I have you over for breakfast the next day,
Ooh.
wink, wink, your sandwich.
So you recently moved over to Europe, right? You were first in Malaysia, and now you're like Easternish Europe?
UK, United Kingdom.
Oh, you're like straight in UK. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like, oh, God, these hooks. Yeah, I mean, we've been here since about August, a couple of days before my birthday, we moved here.
So with casters such as like SVG, Kezu, and Fear, they gained a lot of popularity in the recent years, and their MMR obviously is a little bit in their skill, as a lot of why people are so kind of really happy with the work that they do. You recently just hit 8K. Do you feel like that has made you a much better caster since you may have started whenever you were, I think, not even immortal yet?
When I started, I don't think we actually had more. Like Divine was the highest, but there was a period where I was casting, I was not immortal, and immortal was around. So for sure, I think this is a very interesting question because then you have to be like, I remember when I see like the panels with Fear or SVG or Seb and Notiel. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I forget. And just them being who they are, whatever they say looks good. Just because they're the ones saying it. I think the community kind of, I'm not saying they don't deserve
latent
incredible,
respect. Yeah.
Yeah, the respect is already given to you. You know what I mean? Like for example, let's say Seb comes out, DK is picked, and Seb says, "That's a good first pick. It's a versatile, core, can play any of the core roles." People will be like, "Yeah, he's right. That's such a good point." Let's say DK gets picked. I say, that's a versatile core. He can go to any of the core lanes. People will be like, "What an idiot! That's so obvious. Why did you tell us that?" And you get sort of like, that's like you're judged just because of that. My God, I hope I don't.
So how long do you think you have to be in the casting scene in order to earn that latent respect?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I was. You mentioned the relog tournament. I was there with LeBron. LeBron's 13K MMR. All right, like he's a legitimate pro as they can get. And he, when we were casting, he was like, I'm impressed by how much you know and how you're able to do these. Yeah, it was a huge ego boost for me, by the way. I tell that to my mom every day. I'm like, Mom, you know what LeBron said? But it was like a big deal for me. This professional thinks that my opinions make a difference. But that's very helpful. But your question is, how long do you have to be in the scene? I don't know. I think in general. Damn, that's a good question. It's hard. The community judges you in the end, and they judge if you're good or bad. And I think you just have to do your best. Overall, I think I'm pretty good at what I do. I obviously know though that you're just more harshly than normal, like professional casters. They just have it easier.
So what caster pair do you feel like you look up to or compare yourself a lot to when you're casting?
I have to be a caster pair. I really enjoy what MLP and John X Fire have going for them in their career and the way they work together, the way they look out for each other. I've worked with both individually. I really like, they're really nice guys. They deserve every success. So I'm happy for them. But I respect a lot of other pairs. I don't think there's any pair I really want to be like, or I want to emulate or copy. I want to do things the way I want to do them. That's it. If there's one person I will say I think I copy the most, I'd say Lacoste, because he's so clever with his the jokes he says. I think his humor is amazing, And this is a guy on his second language, so Lacoste would be probably the person I would emulate the most.
So whenever you first started casting, your first listed event was actually in 2018. It was WESG, and you casted with Husky. Do you still have any contact with him at all?
Oh yeah, he would message me from time to time about events. Recently, he mentioned my name to something happened in like London. So yeah, he's a really good guy. I think I'm working with him in January for another, like, it's a Malaysian event. I'm in the UK, but still, like, they're like, yeah, it's okay, we can do it online.
I'm stressing now. I want to read the next question, but I don't want to lose.
I know, it's the same thing.
What's the best casting advice you've ever gotten?
Best casting is, oh, this one's very easy. This one's very easy. It's from Apon Zeus, and it was really good, like, his advice, because it changed how I approached the game. He said, you need to cast like the game that's currently going on is the best game the viewers can choose to watch, because you have to respect viewers' time, you know? Like, they could be watching, they could be doing so many other things. You have to give them an excuse to come in and watch your game. So you have to really approach it like it's they're giving you your time, and I really like that. That was a big eye opener for me, because sometimes you go into a tournament, it's a small tournament, the teams are unknown. You know, it's like you open the Twitch channel, there's like 20 people. It's not really gonna be the thing that brings your career up. So, but that one of making it like, you have to present it the best way you can, and the way of saying like don't waste people's time really meant a lot to me. I think that's easily for me the best advice. But yeah, honestly, so far the question I would want to go back to is like when you talk about emulating other casters and things like that. Yeah, I don't want to be like anyone else, and nor would I want anyone to be like me. I want to just do what I can, because I don't want to be budget fogged, you know, and I don't want to be, because it's the truth, right? Like, if I don't want to copy anyone else. I do say I emulate Lacoste because his sense of humor is so good, and I really admire it. So what sometimes I do would be, if I read something funny or I hear something funny, I'd actually write it down and think, let me see how I'm gonna put it in a cast. Like, I'm like, please mention soup. I have such a good joke on soup. Just mention soup.
Have you ever given a caster a tag like that? Like, hey, I need you to mention this during the cast.
No. I'm like, if it doesn't come from me, and it's like, I don't want to do it. Like, I want it to come just from me, and I say it.
So you not only sit through these shows, but you also enjoy watching shows like Love is Blind with your wife. Give me one contestant on those shows, or the type of show where you think they belong on that show, and one where you're like, this person is too good for this show. They probably shouldn't be here. Let's see.
Okay, since we mentioned Love is Blind, I finished the last season, and there was a couple called Hannah and Nick. Again, you know, this is so distracting. And Hannah was a real interesting piece of work, and I was like, wow. So she definitely deserved to be on the show, and I think the guy with her did not deserve to be on the show. That guy really suffered.
So it's just like a straight up couple of like one of them deserved to be there, the other one did not.
No. Oh, the thing is, okay, here's the thing. I like these shows. Like, I think they're deep TV, or they're like real love stories. No, they're not. They're all very trashy, horrible shows. But I woke up today at 5 a.m. Because I have like sometimes trouble sleeping. My son wakes up at 7. Me and my wife were with him the whole day. It's 9:30 right now. So I've been awake for like, 16 something hours, a long time. And at the end of the day, you don't want to sit there and watch Breaking Bad and understand why Walter White's being evil. You want to watch two people arguing about curtains, or why he was checking that girl's ass, things like that, you know. That's what I want to watch. I don't want heavy thinking. I'm too tired.
So your son is like 4 now?
Almost 4. He'll be 4
Almost 4,
in
yeah.
February.
Do you feel like you're having a child prepared you for casting with me?
No, nothing prepares you for casting with Matt. It's its own experience for sure.
Let's see. Actually, that is another one that I saw. So GeekFam actually gave you some jerseys, and some of them actually for your son, which is the cutest promotion I ever saw. Do you have any like connection with the GeekFam team at all, or is it just like you guys liked each other and that was it?
I did a couple interviews for them. Well, not for them, like on them. And because I was working with One Esports, and they're like, we want you to do interviews. So I did an interview on Geekcam. They were really like happy with how it turned out. So then, and plus I casted a couple of them in tournaments, like tournaments that they won, and they were like, we like your casting, we like your interviewing. We want to send you something. We want to send you a shirt. I was like, send a shirt for my son.
Oh,
and,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
and that's what they did.
No, that's really cool. I've never had a connection with an org like that where they would like not just send a jersey, but send a jersey for your son is really cool.
Yeah, they did. To be fair, there was another caster who works with me, and they sent her son a jersey also. So both our sons got it. It was just very cute.
Yeah. Do you still have the jerseys?
I do.
Oh.
I'm not sure if I have them, but I'm not sure if they're here in Malaysia because I didn't pack everything. Because traveling across from one country to another, you can't take everything. And
yeah, right. Like a ton of stuff gets lost in the move all the time. I feel like we've only moved like twice really myself on a large scale basis, and I lost like both my brother's baseball mitts, mine. And speaking of sports, I know that you said in an interview once that you loved seeing there were like more physical activities, more competitions happening at esports events. What sport do you think should be played at your next LAN?
A sport? You should have like an actual sport.
Yeah, like soccer, basketball, something like that.
Huh. I think basketball would be good, right? Because it's 5-on-5, so it's the same as Dota. But obviously, it's like such a physical game. I think some people would die maybe if we put them out there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of these sports are pretty like volleyball. Volleyball's not easy if you don't practice.
No, volleyball is not easy at all. I feel like we did have a basketball versus volleyball thing whenever we were in high school, and the basketball team did win. We also had a lot of tall people who really just had to stand on the net, but it was, we still had a good job.
I think soccer would probably be the most universal, like everyone's played soccer at some point.
Easiest to set
there's
up.
A lot. Yeah, you could have like 2 different teams together, you'd be like, all right, we're going to have the Chinese and the Russians on one team, and then the Peruvians and the Americans. You're like, wow, let's just give them guns to begin with.
I mean, it is pretty nice. As soccer, especially, I feel like you need the least amount of like, you don't have to speak the same language to communicate in soccer.
It's like pass or goal or that.
Yeah,
shit,
right.
Or with your fingers, depending which finger, So, yeah.
You'll get the point across either way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say soccer would be the best one, but. I mean, in general, I think orgs are caring more and more about fitness. So many orgs are now sharing, oh, look at us, we're at the gym. We're doing our interview here. Tournaments did that. ESL had one when the Blitz was interviewed by Jenkins in the gym. And I was like, it might be a small thing, but it's good to show that. Because what we do, sitting on the computer 10 hours a day, either casting or playing, it's extremely unhealthy. And
so the encouragement alone is enough to be like, we should probably do more of this.
Yes. I feel like, when we wanted to do something like that in Relog, but obviously time was such a constraint. I killed one! Nice.
Is that your first one? Oh my, Otto!
So. Hey, I don't play.
You're like the highest MMR here.
Hey, I don't play. I don't play Pudge. I don't play Pudge. I'm not ashamed of it. Oh, I got 3 in a row. Okay, I died, but I got 3 in a row.
So, I mean, that's interesting, actually. I didn't know if I should ask you about how your Pudge game was going, but you did recently just hit 8K MMR. It only took you, like, what, 5 months, I think you said in your post? It didn't really take you long from when you first hit that 7K marker. What changed, do you think, in your play that, like, allowed you to hit that?
Unfortunately, while I do like that, like, it's nice to be 8K and that is worth something, you have to look at it and say the value of MMR is less than it was a little while ago.
So Glicko happens.
Yeah, it's just like so much has been inflated, and it's insane. So I not only I hit 7K at July or something like that, then I hit 8K in September, and then I hit 8.5 like a month later. So it's just I got one. So it's just that. And by the way, this year alone, we broke 14, 15, and 16K MMR. So remember when Miracle was 8K and Sumail was 8K and people were hitting 9K, that was a record. It's just MMR doesn't mean as much. You ask me like as if I've improved a lot. I don't feel like I have. I just got lucky with some double downs and a couple of rank resets.
Do you think there should be something that changes like how MMR is gotten, or?
Yeah, I think we need some sort of yearly reset where Yeah, and it's like it does a squishing of, you know, like especially the top ones. Like if you're 16K at that point, I don't know, I don't feel like MMR even matters to you. Like it's just such an useless number
Yeah.
when other people are 3K. Like it does, I don't know, it doesn't tell you anything. So we need to do a yearly squishing.
Do you think that Glicko in some way helps with that since there's the rank confidence?
Yeah, to be fair, if you play regularly, you'll hit 100% rank confidence very quickly. At that point, it doesn't add so much anymore. Oh, God, I'm done. Oh, I almost dodged that one. So, no, I kind of like the idea, but I feel like it really doesn't serve as well as you want it to. Oh, shit, I have the worst KDA this game.
You're holding us back, man.
I am holding us back. To be fair, we're only like a couple of kills away. Ah! Almost. Oh! Dude,
So you're part of 6 Steam groups. 4 of them are Dota related, and one of those is Bitcoin. How much did you put in Bitcoin?
Wait, I'm part of a Bitcoin group?
You're a part of a Bitcoin Steam group, and I don't know anyone who's really like a part of Steam groups, let alone one that is Bitcoin related, unless you're like a scammer.
I have no idea I was even there. All right, like, okay, that's some interesting research because I didn't know I was. I've never put money in crypto or anything like that. I'll be honest, I don't completely understand the whole thing. I'm very much like, you know, and orgs offer to pay you around this. They're always like, do you want to take crypto? Do you want to take crypto? And you're like, I'm like, I don't want to take, just give it to me in, you know, Vita money, I think it's called, or something like that. Whatever. I want real money. Dollars, euros, pounds, whatever.
So since you are one of the only Middle Eastern casters out there, are you forced to be Enigma fan?
I did meet them at ESL Genting. I actually played pool with GH, and he's such a very nice, humble guy. So, and you know, he was talking about like the team. I Enigma fan. I like them, I guess. No, I don't think so. I don't really feel like No, not. I mean, they're nice, but they're the same as any other team. I would say I like Team Liquid more than Nigma, for example, because I really like Insania's story, and I've also met him once or twice, and also really like him. So, but it's just personal relations to players. I don't really feel much for orgs.
So, who is your favorite team then?
Alliance, because I'm kind of friends with their coach, so I always have to support them.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like I know I'm really close to them. I've met Loda a handful of times. He looks very serious, and he does have a serious face, but he's also a really like cool guy to sit around and talk to. He's got a lot of great insight both on the game and on the scene, so I respect him a lot.
I feel like whenever you get to a point in esports, it's not as much like, oh, I'm from North America, so I like nouns. It's like you get enough personal experiences in the game where that will carry so much more. Like I like Avalos right now because Stormstorm was there, and I casted with Stormstorm, and he was really nice. I like every team that FCR is on. They're like an auto win. And then
or Handskin.
Yeah, Handskin if he ever goes back to teaming.
And that's another thing. But when you cast, you often end up interviewing a lot of players as well, and that's another thing that makes you like them. If you have it, I love Omar from. I mean, he's on Enigma actually. Omar is amazing. Like he has such a good personality for interviewing, and you don't get that. People might not think it matters. You're like, just ask them questions, but
it matters.
Some players use like, hey, dude, how you won? Like, congratulations. Yeah. All right. What did you guys say when you were behind? We just said we will win. And it's like they're annoyed with you for trying to make them look good, and I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with you, man.
That does happen sometimes where people are like, you can tell they don't want to be there.
Yes.
But like whenever you get somebody who really good, like Waska's coach, DPMS, that guy's awesome. He just wants to talk, and he gave like such actual really good insight on the game too, because he was like, dude, I'm sitting in these games, I'm just stressed as hell. And we're sitting here like, no, actually, I feel that because your Alk blinks into a tier 3 with his team not behind him, and we're stressed as hell for him.
I think I met the coach of Waska in Serbia recently. And I remember thinking that he's also like, he just sits there and tells you, yeah, what we're prioritizing now is working on Wisdom Ruins. We think Wisdom Ruins are the key to victory and getting the turn. He's like just very open about what he thinks needs to happen.
True.
So it's as people. Oh, come on! People are great. They just tell you, they're very expressive. They're not like, oh, we're hiding stress. It's just talk to me.
So you used to not only stream. You streamed Darkest Dungeon, and you did Steam gift card giveaways. When will you start streaming again? Because I kind of want some gift cards.
Oh, I don't know. I think at that period of my life of streaming, I'm not sure if it'll ever come back. I got you. Because at that point, I just needed like more to do something to get me some money. I would go early to my work and I would stream there because it was an IT company, so they had really good computers, and I had to sacrifice a lot. Like I would wake up 6 in the morning to be there early to stream and before work, and then I come home, I would sleep early, and that was like my first year of marriage. So I enjoyed streaming and it helped a bit with my casting, but I don't know, like doing it again, I'm not sure I would do it again. Oh my god. I got to switch partner and then I felt like, and then COVID began. COVID began. That was the big reason. I just didn't stream for a while because COVID. But then I was like, I don't know if I want to go to it. I'm getting consistent work as a caster. I don't really need to push myself for good one, Staples, for that. Streaming was good, but it's not. I don't think it's for me for a while at least.
So how often do you find yourself browsing like Twitter, Blue Sky, Reddit, all that for after you're done with cast? Because it feels like I saw the interview that you did with the other pro casters, and a lot of them were kind of saying like, you probably shouldn't worry that much about it. But Mike and John were actually like, no, we read them. We read them and we try to see what we can learn from them. So where do you really align on that? Do you think that you read a lot of comments to see what goes well, what you're learning? Or are you more like, those guys probably don't like me and they will not give me valuable advice?
So we'll go into a little bit of industry secrets on this one. The truth of the matter is, and this is what people who have worked in these big orgs that have hired me, we're talking about like, Riyadh, Fissure, ESL, all these, they themselves tell you straight up, we care what the community thinks. We care that you are liked. I remember I got an offer that was a bit controversial. I had to talk to them. They're like, we're okay if you do it, but you got to make sure that the community accepts, like doesn't make a problem with you. If they do, we're not going to hire you. So I read a lot because I need to know how the community sees me. And for the most part, I feel like I get very minor positive feedback, and that's kind of it. And I'm okay with that. That's like good enough. I died 28 times. I'm okay with that. I don't like, it would be nice if they all are like, they love you like crazy, but I read a lot. I think it's important for me. I think it's also important for the org, so I check it out. I check it out a lot.
All right, so I think that's gonna be the last one that we do. That was a better one, I think. How many kills did you get in the first one?
3 or 4.
Okay. Well, I only have one more question then, I think, for you. So, you are somebody that I look up to a lot whenever it comes to interviewing. And I think you do a really great job with it. And your Castaway interview seemed to be a big hit with the community. I feel like every podcast that I watched after you had done that one was actually referencing stuff that was said in the Castaway interview. So I know it hit a lot of eyes. Do you like doing those sorts of interviews? Is it taxing? Does it take a lot of prep? Or are you willing to do that sort of thing again?
Oh, no, I loved it. I mean, again, recent LAN, when I went to Serbia, they were like, we need someone to do interviews for Xnova and someone else. And I was like, let me do it. When they offered OG, everyone had to do an interview. Like every team had to send their interview. They're like, who wants to do it? I was like, let me do it. I want to do it. And they're like, from OG, who do you want? I was like, Xnova. They're like, Xnova? He doesn't talk that much. I was like, no, give me Xnova. I don't want anyone else. I want Xnova because he doesn't talk. That's the one I want. And does it take a lot of you asked, by the way, your question is like multi-layered. Do I prepare a lot? The Castaway one, I met him in Malaysia. He came to a LAN. I casted, and I went to him later. I was like, you're the only player here I want a picture with because you represent South Africa. You represent the whole region. Like, it's amazing that you are bringing that up. That like a whole undiscovered region. You're one player from. You're doing a lot for them. I want a picture with you. Then when he left Neon, I messaged him on Twitter. I was like, yo, want to do an interview? He's like, how about tomorrow? I was like, oh, shit. The news came out today.
Really?
But, he's like, tomorrow. And I was like, okay, whatever. Let's just do it. I really went into that. I'm not saying unprepared because I knew the story. Yeah. But not like Castaway, born in Ghana. Okay, born in Ghana. You know, 99, like, oh, I'll ask him about his birth month or something. Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I approach interviews very much as I'm your friend. Let's talk about some topics. I'm not here to get a gotcha question. You know, I'm not here to
Yeah.
be like, oh,
So why won't you play with them again?
Sorry?
So why won't you play with those guys again? What's so terrible about all of them? Tell me in
Exactly,
detail.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, you want to ask, you know, you'd be like, was there conflict in the team? Was there something like
Yeah.
that? But because you do, you know, they obviously they're disbanded, they're not
Yeah.
together. There is something going on, so you want to ask, but you're not there. You could get him to get mad and look bad. Maybe. I'm not saying Castaway like an interviewer,
Yeah.
but then they'll never work with you again. I credit my time with One Esports for helping me with this because they put in my ear, they're like, you are there to make them look good. So don't go like, oh, here you're saying yes, but before this, it's question 2. You said no. Which one is it, liar, liar? So I love interviews. I was actually contacted to go to PMGC in London. It's a $3 million LAN for PUBG Mobile.
Oh
And they're like,
shit.
we really want you there. And I was like, yes, I'd love to be there. But because of some visa issues from the company that wanted to go, they couldn't go, but they said,
Oh.
we want to work with you later. This was unfortunate because I really wanted to go.
Right.
But
And GeekFam is actually still in PUBG, so that's orgs from there that you could still actually leverage some of that with.
Yeah, I love it. I love the interviewing, the paneling, the casting. I did translating as well for another event. It was Arabic English, and I also enjoyed that. I love the esports scene, and I think I'm kind of personable to a certain degree. I do well with the players, and so yeah, I loved interviewing. I loved interviewing.
Well, and then I guess my last question then, is there anything that you have coming up that you want to promote, or begging, I guess, if you have nothing else that you want to promote, then what's going on? What are you doing next?
What am I doing next? I think next year we'll be doing another relog event. And that would be the big thing again for me, because you never know what's gonna happen. You don't know if other big orgs are looking at you or not. So far, it doesn't seem like it, but you do work with a lot of like, the tier 2 scene where that seems to be the level I'm in, and I'm happy with it. But yeah, another relog to it will be resulting in another LAN, and I think that'll be exciting for me because I really enjoyed. By the way, this wasn't my first LAN. I've been to a few of them, but this was the first time where they. No, sorry. This was the second time where they paid for my ticket and my hotel and told me to come over.
That's awesome. I really do wish I could see you again, because it seems like you're somebody who really translate well to like in person. What are some things that you think you needed to change, or maybe just like do better, or that you did better with on LAN, casting with people, doing panel in person versus when you're on online?
It's so much easier to be okay. It's so much easier to do when you're on panel or casting live with people next to you. It's so much easier to do it because what you can do is you can like signal with your hands. For example, you can like look at the person, or they can look at you. Like for example, Rob was host. If he was gonna ask me a question, he's looking me in the eye. So I'm like, oh, he's gonna ask me a question. If he's not gonna ask me a question, he's gonna look at LeBron. He's gonna look him in the eye, and that's easy. If I want to like not interrupt, but have a point to add, I can open my mouth and be like, oh, this guy wants to talk, even though I'm not on camera, you can't see it. Whereas right now, I'm just looking Pudge Wars. I don't know if you want to talk or not. I can't tell. So the physicality of it, being able to be next to people, I could see some of the casters when they cast how incredibly excited they get. Like some of them are jumping in the chair, and I'm like, holy crap, you're really liking the game.
Oh yeah.
So
no, that's something I thought you did really well whenever I was watching you. Like, you definitely communicate better with people, and like I think sometimes they weren't ready for that because you were looking at them and you're like making the eye contact and you were like expressing yourself with like your hands and your face, and that's something that you already do when you're like sitting in your chair. But there's not always a camera on you while you're doing that, and especially I think whenever the camera is off, because even in some of these leagues, like you and I, even when we did DPC, we could see each other. And we would end up calling each other, and like we had like a degree of that, but it's so much easier in person where there's no delay. You can already see like where hands are moving to. If somebody has like a point, it can be as subtle as somebody's like raising their hand in the background, ready to say something.
Yeah, and I mean, right? It's also like when you can see it on camera, if you say something and the person laughs, or they smile, and you're like, like right now, if I could see you, I would know that. That's cool. But when you don't see anything, it's just. Interruptions happen. Sometimes two people talk at the same time, then they both get quiet because they want the other person to finish. Then they both talk at the same time, and you're like, oh god, it's not their fault. So, and the problem with that though is that cycles to another thing where You look better in lands because lands are easier. Firstly, you're doing half the work. Either you're paneling or you're casting. And by God, does that make it so much easier when you are doing 8 hours a day and you're paneling and casting with the exact same person the entire time. By the 5th, 6th, 7th hour, it's just not as fresh and most of the time as good as the beginning. And that's just how it is. You've thrown out your best. You've talked about soup. You know, there's no more to add. But
there's only so much soup we can talk about today.
Right? But when you're in a LAN, you're working half. You're either paneling or you're casting. And you can also, like, we had rotations there. So I'm sometimes paneling with this guy and this guy, and sometimes I'm casting with this guy, then I'm paneling with a different group. And it's always a very different dynamic. You know, 3 people chemistry, you take one guy, you put one guy, and it's completely different. Yeah. And which is why I envy the people who do LANs, because you look good doing them, so you get hired for more. And I'm like, just give me one.
Should there be some sort of like, should we have DotA DEI? I guess I shouldn't call it that or people will instantly hate it, but that's basically what it is that somebody who doesn't originally have that chance and there is something that is like maybe not necessarily related to their skill to do the job or their ability to do the job. It's simply that they haven't gotten the chance to do the job yet. So you give them that opportunity and they show some like lottery ticket for lands. It's like, we have our 15 invited guests and then we have this one guy that we don't know if they're actually good or not, but we're going to have them anyways and see what happens.
All right, I'll be honest with you. This is a topic that we're going to go into. I feel like it's at the end, but it's important because I've been thinking about it a lot. Whenever you see an announcement for the talents going for an event, firstly, they all deserve it. There's no thing to say that they all deserve it. These are all hardworking people. But it is relatively the exact same people for every single one of them. Now, I'm not saying that they don't, again, I'm going to say they deserve it. But when we look at the players and we see, oh, we need new players, we need new blood, we need new people coming in because the game is bad when it's the exact same people. Look at China. There's a post recently about how many teams have left the Chinese scene because there's not enough players. If you take that knowledge and let's put it out to casters, what I want is not every tournament, of course that's too much, but in some tournaments, the big ones, you just have a rotation of 2 people, which is a pairing on a cast or on a panel, and you see, because it's good for everyone. The orcs can be like, oh crap, these guys are bad. The other guys we had were good, and that's great for them. Or they can be like, these guys are good. Now we have more options, and it does level the playing field because it is right now very hard to penetrate the top level. And because you don't get the opportunity to penetrate, you can't penetrate. It's experience needs experience.
Yep.
And some people will say, oh, it's okay. Just work hard and eventually they'll get you. You're like, not really.
I feel like you have this conversation a lot because I checked your Reddit profile as well to see if there's anything I could ask you. And you respond to so many people on Reddit that talk about this, Otto. You are always like responding to this stuff.
And to be fair, it's self-serving. I'm not gonna pretend it's not. Like it would benefit me for new blood to move up. That is not like one of the things I will be is very honest and blunt about these sort of things. Like there's no. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I just want others to. No, it's like no, I want me to go up. But it's the honest truth. Like no one enters a career saying I don't want to do the best things, right?
I want new casters, people like me, to get into big lands, things that I want.
Yes.
And
and I mean, and that is not exactly saying something that's crazy. All right, but here I'll return to you a question. I'll give you a question, okay?
Ooh.
All right. Let's say someone equally talented as Cap on OD Pixel right now came to the scene. Someone equally talented as them. Do you think that they would be able to actually attend the LANs?
I've heard this, and I'll always say no. Straight up, it will be no. Especially if they like instantly just like pop, like they start doing their own stream or something. They start casting amateur leagues because people can say that they're very good and they can potentially like grow an audience. But at the end of the day, I think like especially what I've experienced with a lot of these hiring, and like I'm grateful that I'm on the other side of it right now, where like I am somebody that I think I will get hired. And even though I am putting a lot of effort into improving it, and I'm making sure that I don't lose that spot because it is definitely possible, I think that if somebody were to come in that was equally as talented as Cap and SVG, they wouldn't even take my spot because I already have like the hiring, and there's a degree of like, unless there's a gigantic shakeup in the community, you're going to have that slot because in some way you have earned it over the person that just lost it, and they're going to keep it for you for a while. So it's up to you to lose slots really if you're like in it already.
Yeah, it's that's the thing, right? It's like, all right, we have our top 20. and you need
Yeah.
something to happen to the top 20 for a slot to open up, and you don't want it because they deserve it.
Yeah.
That's the other problem. It's like, you do deserve it. You don't want here saying that there's undeserving, but by isolating a group and saying that no one else can become a caster in this group, you are firstly giving them a lot of power. Orcs can now, they're like, these guys, whatever they say, they're like, well, there's no other options because everyone else is untried. We're not gonna bring new people because these are the best and we know they're the best. Good for you. But also, if a shakeup does happen, and so let's say, because this has happened before, then what orcs are gonna scramble? Who are we gonna bring? We don't know. What are we gonna do? So having a rotation of just like 2 people, bring them in for interviews. Let's see how they work out. Bring them in for anything else.
I think that's why everybody that I'm gonna ask, hopefully, I think this is the case, will say that they want the DPC back, because that did create like the long roster. There was a lot of games happening all at the same time and regions happening at the same time, so you couldn't have like just the top 10 teams, because that's another thing. Like the reason that, and I'll scroll through every ESL, PGL, whatever it is event. I'll go, yep, every one of those casters deserve to be there. I wouldn't kick any of them out. Like that's never going to be the case. So what it does create is that like those guys get spread out, and there's so many more games to play. There's so many more games to cover. Orgs are getting their cash, casters are getting their time, players are getting their games right. Even though it was mishandled, there are better things that could happen with it. DPC created a roster of casters that could move up. And it was like, oh my god, I'm a tier 2 caster. Now I'm a tier 1 DPC caster. Like, I'm moving somewhere, you know? It created some sort of path for things. And now it seems like, just like the teams who are now in this tournament format, where it's like, okay, I get through the quals. If I don't get through the quals, I'm toast. That's what it feels like as a caster right now. If you cast the quals and you don't ever move past the quals, you feel like you're toast.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's the levels, right? There's like there's like, I'm attending the LAN, in person. I'm attending the LAN online, which is very close because sometimes they bring you there. Then it's like, I'm doing the qualifiers. Yeah. And there's like, that's the gap right there. And of course, there's before where you're like, you're not doing anything. Yeah. So there is steps to this. There's levels to it that you want to try to climb up. Oh, but yeah, the DPC was good. It was good to have the DPC, but definitely could have been managed a lot better.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's all we have today, then. I'm going to have to message Sin and say, Jesus Christ, for our charity tournament on Saturday, we need the full hour. We're not just going to be a half-hour time slot. But thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you doing this in a way that wasn't necessarily figured out just yet, but I think it went really well. I'll be asking you whenever there aren't people listening to see what we should change about it. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. See ya.
See ya.